Everyone ready? We're ready? All right. Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff, joined here by T. Michael O'Connor, the U.S. Marshal of the Southern District. This afternoon at approximately 1:15, we had a deputy-involved shooting. We had two members that discharged their weapons. They're members of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force under the U.S. Marshal's Office. We've been longtime members and participants. This afternoon, members of the team were looking for one serious felon offender that was possibly in and around this location. While inside, one of our members was inside the location doing some of the investigative work when the possible suspect pulled into the location. Soon after, he walked into the lobby area, and while he was in the lobby area, two other members learned that he had possibly arrived at the location or was walking in. As they began to approach the sliding glass doors in the registration/lobby area, the male began to retrieve a pistol from his person. He raised that pistol. Our two members discharged their weapons through the glass doors, were able to strike him, possibly at least 2 times, we believe. We're not sure. That'll be part of the investigation. The male collapsed and was pronounced deceased here at the location. The male was wanted on 5 possible charges, including a parole violation for dangerous drugs, 3 federal felony open warrants as well for possession of a weapon, and 1 local charge for some type of theft here out of Harris County. So a total of 5 open warrants. The female that was not in the vicinity at the time of the shooting, that was in his company, was also wanted. I don't have all the details on her at this point. The suspect that's deceased is approximately 45 years of age. Both of the only members that discharged their weapons are Harris County Sheriff's Office members that are part of the task force. They're both longtime veterans of our agency, 20 plus years each. And so that's the information that we have at this time. Briefly in Spanish, and then I'll answer questions. Esta tarde recibimos una llamada en este local, un equipo de nosotros que somos miembros de un task force que se llama el Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. Respondieron en búsqueda de un sospechoso peligroso. Lo estaban buscando por más de 5 órdenes de arresto. Al llegar aquí lo pudieron localizar dentro de la oficina de registros, y cuando comenzaron a entrar para dentro del sitio, el tipo sacó una pistola, levantó la pistola y 2 miembros del equipo pudieron disparar. Lo hirieron en ese momento y él cayó y murió ahí en la escena. Solamente 2 miembros de nuestro equipo fueron los que dispararon sus armas, y es la información que tenemos en este momento. Any questions?
When the deputies eventually spotted him when he pulled out a pistol, were they actively trying to arrest him before he pulled out a pistol? What happened before he pulled it out?
He was in the registration area. He, I think, saw when several unmarked vehicles were pulling in. I think he became suspicious, and as they began to make entry into the location, he retrieved his pistol from his body, possibly his waistband, raised the pistol, and as they were making entry, hadn't yet put hands on him or anything. As they were about to begin enforcement action, there was a little bit of distance from where he was at in the registration area and the glass doors. They discharged their weapons. We don't know if he discharged at the same time. We don't know if it was an actual exchange. But when he picked up his weapon, upwards, kind of facing them, they discharged their weapons and struck him. We don't know if he discharged as well. They're in a plainclothes assignment.
And was he?
But I believe they do have the markings. They do have the markings of the agency, and
they had the vest on.
Yes.
Said task force.
Yes.
Police, U.S.
Yes.
Marshals. So they were well identified when they started to approach him.
The suspect was staying at a motel. Is he from this area?
I know the warrant that we received or had was coming. The information was coming out of Austin. We don't know if that's just because that's where the parole office or headquarters at. So I don't know his exact
No, it was
origins.
out of Boston.
So it was out of
was.
Austin. So
And the
I'm
warrants
assuming
are
he's
out of
from.
Austin.
Yeah, the warrants are out of Austin with one from Harris County, but we don't know if that's like his hometown or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he had been staying here for several weeks at this hotel.
Did you know she arrested?
She's wanted, so most likely she will. I don't know her current status right now, but she is wanted as well.
There was a young man saying he'd been taken into custody maybe around 11 from a neighboring room. He said he was a friend of the person who died.
That somebody else was arrested?
He said he wasn't arrested, but he was
Okay.
detained.
I'm not sure about what happened earlier. I haven't gotten that
What
information.
time did the task force?
This happened around the shooting and what have you started transpiring at about 1:15,
Okay.
a PM.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much time they have been in here. The task force obviously has different
Did
members.
the task force entered the building earlier in the day at any point?
Do we know?
No, they were on the approach. They got where they had heard they were here. They're in multiple rooms. So before they went to start searching, this is when they saw that the individual was in the lobby. Now, since then, there's other occupants and even juveniles that are in there, and they're being detained until the authorities come and work with them at this time.
The mail, we're told, had multiple rooms here at the location, so there's going to be different parties that were in and out. So I don't know what transpired earlier.
Yes.
Algo así, descripción del sospechoso, cuáles son los cargos de que se le acusa y cuál era el vínculo con esta mujer y qué hacía esta mujer en el
La mujer lo estaba acompañando, pero no estaba con él en el momento de los disparos. Estaba en búsqueda por 5 órdenes de arresto, todas felonías. Una es un parole violation por drogas peligrosas. 3 eran por felonías federales con persona prohibido de tener un arma. Y otro era por un tipo de robo o algo, theft, pero aquí de Harris County. Entonces era un total de 5. Y la mujer no sabemos, pero también tenía orden de arresto también.
Él se estaba quedando que hacía allí, que era donde
Aquí se estaba quedando, se había estado hospedando en este hotel por más de 2-3 semanas, más o menos.
Can you talk about the
Somebody had.
Can you explain, clarify a little bit, what time did
I'm not sure what time they arrived earlier in lieu of the former question, but we know that approximately right after 1 or so, they were more specifically looking for this individual. They had entered, for a few into the registration office asking some questions. And then once they determined that the male was possibly inside the registration area is when they began to arrive to make entry into the registration, to approach him, to take enforcement action. And that's when the male pulled out the pistol, raised it up, and we don't know again if there was an exchange, but we know 2 members of our agency that are members of the task force discharged their weapons. Possibly in the other rooms.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's in the early stages. And again, I also always like to preface things by saying all this is still preliminary. We know there's obviously a public interest, and we want to share with our media partners. But all this is still subject to investigation. The DA's office is also here. Internal Affairs will be out here for us. Our criminal investigations team is out here as well. So there'll be multiple parallel investigations. And things are always subject to change once we get more information, interview people, and conduct the investigation. But we do know he had at least 3 or 4 rooms. We don't know why he had so many or who else were in those rooms. We don't know if the kids were in danger in any way. We don't know all those things. That'll be part of our investigation.
Can you talk about the deputy status? Are they what happens after a shooting?
Yeah, they'll be just immediately, obviously, they'll be placed on just administrative status, administrative leave for the beginning as we begin our process, investigative process, which is standard procedure with all
Were they wearing
officers.
body cameras?
They weren't. There is footage of the incident. We are working, though, to equip members that are in our task force with cameras as well. And so that's something that that has been in the works. We're still working on the legalities of that just because it's our members, but they're in a task force, a federal task force, so all that's being worked out. But there is footage of the incident.
From the hotel?
Yes.
If I may say, the sheriff deputies did an excellent job in making the decision where to confront this individual, because you just don't know what you might come up to when you go to room, being multiples, and who are the occupants. It's the worst case scenario for law enforcement. And the fact that they saw him, they had their eyes on him, on that location that they made the best call to go and approach him at this time.
Yeah, it seemed that both members, looking at their initial actions, it looked like they acted very swiftly in a safe manner. They obviously, protected their lives. There was also a clerk for the hotel inside, and yet they contained everything very surgically as best as they could under the
Yes.
circumstances. The guy really prompted the issue, the suspect did, when he retrieved the weapon, and then that's when things transpired after that. But members of the Gulf Coast Task Force, they're an elite team. They go after the worst of the worst in our communities. There was a big presser here
Yeah.
recently with some amazing arrests that they had done. So they're really out there trying to find the most violent in our communities. So
Yeah, it
we
was
commend
Operation
the
North
partnership.
Star.
Yep.
And we had a press conference with the sheriff and others in our successes of pursuing the worst of the worst.
Can you talk about
Well, go ahead.
about 5 days ago you were here on this very same block of the
Yeah, it's in very close proximity to here. Again, we extend our condolences to Roderick's family. We are in the throes of that investigation right now. My commitment, our commitment, is to be transparent, to be thorough, and to be timely as well. And so we will be getting out information forthcoming very, very soon. And so we're just trying to make sure that we're asking our public that if anybody was there that we may have missed, that they were in their vehicles and left prior to our arrival or anything like that, that we want to make sure that we're talking to them, collecting any other evidence or video that's out there. Again, we want to be thorough, but we take all loss of life very seriously. Each situation obviously is going to be very unique. This area is our most busiest in unincorporated Harris County, so there's a lot of attention that we're placing on addressing crime out here. And our folks are doing tremendous work. They're very difficult situations. We understand the scrutiny that comes when we have to utilize use of force. Just to put it in context, this year, just our agency alone, we've had over 1 million calls for service, over 500,000 911 calls, and we've had 12 uses of force involving discharging of firearms by our deputies, 12 out of hundreds of thousands of calls for service. So, but we're going to take each one serious. The community deserves that. The family deserves that. And our team members deserve that as well. So they'll be very transparent with that. We'll be coming out with information very soon on that incident.
Was this part of Operation North Star? Or is it
No,
No.
sir.
No.
How long were those warrants out there?
I'm not sure how long the warrants themselves have. I don't know if we have any information. We just know they're 5. Again, 3 are federal felony carrying a prohibited weapon. 1 was a local one, and 1 was a parole violation for dangerous drugs. But the fact that they come on our radar, or the marshal's office, the task force, is probably because there's some serious red flags, there are concerns, and that's why we're going
And I
after
do believe one mentioned to me, one of my deputies mentioned that some of these warrants were in the period of time of June. But there could be, like the sheriff mentioned, there's multiple. Harris County as well as, so, to be exact about it, we'd have to follow up on it.
Yeah.
What is can you release the man's name, the person who died?
Not at this time, because as a courtesy, his family members as well. We don't know. I mean, obviously, if he is from Austin or somewhere else. Plus, we leave it up to the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences because they'll confirm the actual identity of the person through their process, and then we'll be able to truly confirm. We're going based on who they were searching for and the initial information we have here. But before putting out the name, we'd like to double check and confirm with the Institute of Forensic Sciences.
Algo así, no sé si lo dijo, la raza quizás del sospechoso.
Es
y edad.
anglosajón, 45 años de edad. He is a white male, 45 years of age.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for
All
giving
right.
your time.
Thank
You, Marshal.
Anything else we
Yes,
update,
sir.
we'll put out on our Twitter.
Good job.
Okay?
Anybody need my business card? I'm sure. Hopefully I have enough.
Hey, Deputy.